The Berkeley Hills Road Race is the longest continuously running road race in the US. The Berkeley Bike Club has been putting it on for several years now, and the last few years we've been running it as a fundraiser to help get equipment for local high school mountain bike teams. This year, in 2020, because of COVID, we're unable to hold the event normally, and we're going to put together, between the Berkeley Bike Club and the Cavallo Foundation, a virtual event that's going to be held using Strava segments on the classic Berkeley Hills Road Race course. Right now, I'm on Wildcat Canyon Road, looking down on the Bears Loop, where the road race is usually held, which goes around San Pablo Dam. And in this short video, I'm going to show you where all the segments are, and then after that, I'm going to kind of explain how the event will be held. Okay, here I am on San Pablo Dam Road, and I'm right here where it intersects with old San Pablo Dam Road. And so this is where the road race normally starts. You come up this little ramp and then you turn right here. Just a couple hundred meters down that way is the intersection with Wildcat Canyon. So the first segment of the virtual Berkeley Hills Road Race starts right here at this intersection, and it goes north for about 3 3/4 miles along a basically flat stretch of San Pablo Dam Road. There's a couple of little rollers on it, but the whole the overall segment is pretty flat and there's no real elevation change. And it finishes up at an intersection right before the big descent. There's a fire road that has a section of road that gets wider, and then there's a crosswalk, and it finishes right near that intersection well in advance of the crosswalk. So you have a couple hundred meters, maybe like 150 to 200 meters before the descent starts, and you go down towards Pinole and make the right.
So here's the end of that first segment, looking north on San Pablo Dam, and then south just before the descent.
Okay, here I am right after the descent of Castro Ranch Road. You turn right onto Alhambra Valley Road. There's a stop sign right there, and then there's this bridge that they made a few years ago after there was some flooding and the bridge washed out. The second segment for the virtual Berkeley Hills Road Race starts just as you're coming off of this bridge. So that intersection doesn't factor into it at all. Even if you stop, you can kind of get up to speed. And it starts from here, and you're going north, or like, I guess it's like east, on Alhambra Valley Road, and you go for a few miles until a little before Bear Creek Road. And like the previous flat section, it's flat. There's a couple of little bumps in it, but it's basically very little net elevation change, and it's great for like stronger riders that can put a lot of power down on the flats regardless of their body mass. Okay, so here I am on Alhambra Valley Road, just going on the second segment of the virtual Berkeley Hills Road Race course, and it's pretty great. I mean, we tried to design the course so that it wouldn't necessarily favor any particular type of athlete. It's made so that if you're really strong and can do a lot of power on the flats, but maybe you weigh a little more and you're not a great climber, or if you're a good sprinter, but maybe you don't have quite as good a sustained power, everything kind of cancels out a little bit. So it really favors somebody who's a decent all-around rider, and you can't really just be good at one thing and do well. You kind of have to put in a little bit of effort on each of the segments. But of course, you know, there are good prizes for people that want to be competitive about it. But really, it's just for fun, and anyone can, you know, have a good time doing it. Or even if you are just getting into riding and you're not extremely fit just yet, there is a most improved category, so that from the first to the second phase of the virtual Berkeley Hills Road Race, you could maybe have a good chance at building up your fitness and maybe riding faster the second time around and getting a prize for being one of the most improved athletes. But as you can see, this is a beautiful road. It's definitely, you know, super classic California scenery, and this course, like the regular the regular Berkeley Hills Road Race, is just like one of the most classic races around, and it's definitely a favorite of myself and many racers around here, and just for people that ride in the East Bay. Riding the Bears is, you know, just such a classic route, so it seems like an obvious place to pick some segments for this virtual road race that we're holding on Strava.
Okay, so you're coming towards the end of the section on Alhambra Valley Road. You come up this way, and there's this hill on your left, some trees and stuff on the right, and you're going to come up towards the stop sign up ahead, and that's going to be the end of the segment. So you can see you're coming up just like a quarter mile before the right-hand turn onto Bear Creek Road, and the segment ends right around here. So if you get to the stop sign and you have to stop, it shouldn't affect the results of your timing on the segment. If there's traffic, you can obviously stop. Usually there's nobody here, but obviously safety is our top priority anytime that we're riding, whether it's during this event or otherwise. So you stop at that stop sign, and that's the end of that segment, the second kind of flat long segment of the challenge. And then we come up over this rise, make a right-hand turn onto Bear Creek Road, which I'll show you in just a second, and that's going to be where the first sprint segment is. Okay, so as you finish up that section of Alhambra Valley Road, you're going to come up on this intersection here and make this sweeping right-hand turn around to Bear Creek Road. And you could just, coast into this to get your legs fresh after that longer segment, or since it's a Strava-based challenge, you could go up Alhambra Valley Road, spin out your legs for a minute, and then double back and make this turn here if you wanted to. But the next segment is going to be a sprint segment, and it's going to be just past this right-hand turn. It's going to start just as you're passing this Briones town line. So it's going to start here, and it's going to go about a minute up the road, and it's just a pretty flat stretch. There's a little bit of a rise here, so you want to really kind of power over this thing. So you're probably going to get up this in under a minute, but it's just like a false flat climb, and it's a really short segment. So you're going to go up this way, up and over this rise, and about a minute up the road if you're pretty fast, or maybe 2 minutes or less if you're just moderately fit. You're going to come up here, and this is going to be a road coming in on the right. The segment is going to end right about here. So this is totally flat, and that segment is going to be pretty fast. This little side road is Hampton Road. So that quick segment is the first sprint segment of the challenge.
Okay, so I'm about to come up on the Mama Bear climb. You go by a couple of ranches here, and just behind me there was a little section of washed out road where there's a stop sign, and so you just gotta take a second to look at the traffic. But basically up ahead there's this sweeping right-hander, and the gradient steadily picks up, and then you can just see the whole climb up ahead of you. And the segment we're using for the virtual Berkeley Hills Road Race is going to be starting kind of in what I guess you could call the apex of this sweeper. So just as you're coming around and it starts to pick up and be pretty steady all the way up, that's where it's going to start. So it's going to start right around here, and you're going to go up, just like 100 meters. It picks up from whatever it is now, maybe like 3%, up to a little bit steeper grade. It's probably like maybe 7%. Yeah, so I'm getting most of the way up Mama Bear, and it's just like totally steady, basically maybe 200 meters into the climb, all the way up to the top. And up ahead, there's that yellow diamond sign for the road that shows that it's a curvy road. And that's like right where the crest is. So you can see it coming up when you're doing it. And right now I probably have like 150 meters or so. And a real fast time is gonna be something like under 3 minutes for a very, strong climber. You can check Strava for what the fast times are like.
So coming up this way, you're going to finish the Mama Bear climb. There's that little sign right there that says, curved road ahead, and it starts to level off through here. It levels off right through here, and the segment is going to end right as this little fire access road comes in from the right. So it's actually flat for maybe 50 meters here at the top of the climb. So you can just kind of accelerate and keep the power on through this little stretch here. And then this is the end of the segment right here, and it's a little bit of a false flat downhill, so you get a good chance to recover after that.
Okay, here I am on Bear Creek Road. Just over there is Briones Park, and when you're going clockwise around the bears, you come down this little descent and across this bridge, and then right here is Papa Bear, which is the longest of the bear climbs, and like a pretty fast time is going to be something like 4 minutes. and like that's going to be close to the KOM, and then, you know, obviously like a very fit cyclist might do 5 or 6 minutes or maybe a little bit more. But basically you come down here, the segment for the virtual Berkeley Hills Road Race is going to start right around here as you come off the bridge and pass Happy Valley Road right there. So just as it's flat and it starts to pick up a little bit, that's where you want to start going hard. And right here it's pretty shallow. It's pretty shallow, but it picks up and you can see the climb, like just around that bend, you can see the rest of the climb, and it's a pretty solid climb. So you got to pace yourself. So normally the traditional regular Berkeley Hills Road Race finishes just up ahead kind of by this tree before you get to the crest of Papa Bear. But for the Strava challenge, for the virtual Berkeley Hills Road Race, we're gonna have a segment that goes all the way to the top. So it's about maybe like 80, 100 meters past the finish of the road race, but it's just gonna be right at the top of Papa Bear up ahead. You can see it coming up. And then you roll a little bit, you descend and get to Wildcat for the third and final climbing segment for the virtual road race. Just a little bit further, probably shift and like accelerate just a little bit to keep the momentum up. And right around here, we're at the top, and that's going to be the end of that segment. Probably, I would suggest, you know, grabbing a bite or a gel and some fluids so you can refuel for the last and longest climb of the event. You got a little bit of like a few miles to go, so you can like relax, and a lot of it's descending, so you get a chance to recover, but having a few calories and some fluids are definitely going to help you out. Okay, so I just finished a lap of the bears. I've done all of the segments that are on the bears in the virtual Berkeley Hills Road Race, and then here I am at the bottom of Wildcat Canyon right by San Pablo Dam Road, and that is going to be the last climbing segment. It's going to be all the way up Wildcat Canyon Road from right at the bottom here up to the crest right before you hit Inspiration Point, and that's going to be the last of 3 climbing segments. And you know, the KOM is like 8 minutes. That's just like full gas, very fresh for, you know, obviously a very fit rider. You know, a good time for a lot of people is like under 10 minutes or under 12 minutes. So obviously, you know, most people that live around here have done it a number of times, but I would, you know, go ahead and expect it to be a longer climb. And, you know, if you've ridden it before, or if you haven't, maybe pre-ride it, that can be helpful information for kind of how to pace it. And so that's gonna be the last climbing segment. And then there's just one more sprint segment right after Inspiration Point.
Okay, so here we are at the top of Wildcat. The segment for the virtual Berkeley Hills Road Race is going to end just as you're entering this left-hand sweeper right before you get to Inspiration Point. So you're going to come up this way at the top of the Wildcat climb, and this is right where this Google Street View is kind of positioned within a few feet is going to be where the end of the segment is. Obviously, you can check Strava to get an exact location or download the segments to your computer if your computer has the capabilities of doing that. But right up ahead is the Inspiration Point parking lot on the right, and the last segment of the virtual Berkeley Hills Road Race is a sprint segment which starts just over here on Wildcat Canyon Road. So you might want to take a minute to just kind of soft pedal and do a couple laps through the parking lot perhaps, or maybe go up Wildcat Road for a minute, double back, and then the last segment is going to be a sprint segment. Like I said, it's going to be about a minute long, and it's going to start right here as you're passing, as you've passed the Inspiration Point parking lot. It's totally flat right here. The pavement is okay. It's like pretty smooth. There's no big cracks in it, but it's a little bit bumpy. And you're going to go from here all the way down to up ahead to near where the quarry parking lot is. So you can go up this way. There's a nice little view to the right. And just before you get to the quarry parking lot, there's this like left-hand turn sign, and past that sign, but before you get to any possible traffic or cars that are going to be up ahead at this parking lot, the segment for that last sprint segment is going to end right around here. And that's the conclusion of the virtual Berkeley Hills Road Race course. So there are 7 segments, all of which count for time for the results that will be tabulated for everyone. If you sign up and you want to participate in this event, basically you just go out,
you cruise most of that, but you can go hard on those particular segments, and then we're going to add up your time for each of those segments to get a final result, and then see, how everyone stacks up against everyone else in each category of the race. And we're going to have great prizes, just like the traditional Berkeley Hills Road Race. But this year, because there's much less overhead, because it's a socially distanced event where people do it on their own time, basically all of the reg fees, minus a little bit that we're using to pay for insurance for the event, is going to go evenly split between the Alameda County Community Food Bank and East Bay NICA high school mountain biking teams, so that we can help get food into the hands of people that need it and get cycling equipment into the hands of local high school mountain bikers so that they can participate in the NICA League. And basically you can go online to our GoFundMe, sign up for the event, and there's going to be 2 windows in which you can ride the bears one time or multiple times, but you just have to complete all of the segments in one ride, and we're going to add up all of those segment times to get your result. The first phase is going to be in early June. There's going to be 15 days during which you can ride it and submit a ride from Strava. And then also in early August, we're going to do the same thing again. And that's going to allow people the chance to maybe improve their fitness and ride it a few times. It's also going to allow people who maybe don't live in the area, if restrictions open up over the summer and they can't participate in the first round in June, maybe they can participate in the second round in August. And because there's a 2-month window between early June and early August, some people that might get a lot fitter over that period of time will have the opportunity to see how much they improve, and we'll have results for the most improved athletes, in addition to the top fundraisers and the top 3 results for each category for both men and women. And it's just going to be like a regular road race with different categories. But of course, not everyone has to have a racing license, because it's not a mass start sanctioned official USA Cycling event. But you should select a category that you think is appropriate for the level of skill that you have. Obviously, if you're a racer, you already have a racing category. If you aren't a racer, you could assess what fitness level you think is appropriate for your participation in the event.